to start off by making an angry bird. Now, in this modeling tutorial, we're going to really concentrate on making a character that does have expression. The main things that we are going to be concentrating on to utilize and create a character that does this without actually making a complete rig is to use our grouping techniques and also to move around our pivot points. Yeah, so that'll be the two main things that we're kind of focusing in on here. But basically, our end product is we should have something where our eyebrows can move around. We can kind of open and close the beak, so on and so forth. Yeah, so kind of giving ourselves those kinds of options. Now, if we take a look at our Angry Bird, one thing you're going to notice right off the bat is he is very round. Of course, so a lot of the time when people are creating a character like this, they're going to actually try to start off with a sphere. But what you'll find out is, for the most part, characters, especially when we're building in Maya, they actually start off as cubes. Yeah, so it seems a little counterintuitive, but we'll kind of go through that process. Yeah, so I'm going into my create menu, going to polygon primitives, and then I'm going to choose the square next to cube. Yeah, and the square next to cube is of course our cube settings. I believe this is going to be your default. It's going to be everything kind of set at ones over here. We can kind of keep our width, height, and depth all at one, but what I am going to do here is kind of switch things up for the width divisions. Yeah, so I'm going to give ourselves a little bit more divisions to work with. Same thing with the height. Yeah, I'm going to bump up the width to 4, the height divisions to 4, and then the depth divisions to 4. Yeah, so notice I'm not changing the overall dimensions, but I am changing the amount of times that they're divided. Okay, so it's going to be 1, 1, 1 for your width divisions, height divisions, and depth divisions are all going to be 4. If you have all your settings set to that, you can then go ahead and press the create button. All right, and so what you have is something that kind of really resembles like a more difficult Rubik's Cube. We are going to turn this into something that's a little bit more rounded pretty quickly. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of change our view a little bit. Right now we're in our perspective view. I'm going to hit the space bar, kind of jump into our our other different views. We do have our top view, front view, and side view. I'm going to primarily use the top view, so I'm going to hit my space bar over there just to kind of get more of a rounded top look. Yeah, so right now we are in object mode. Yeah, so if you notice, I am also in the scale tool already. Yeah, if you forget how to get into your scale tool, remember that is your R key. Now I'm going to right click on here and I'm going to switch modes into vertex mode. Yeah, so vertex will allow us to kind of manipulate each of our individual vertices over here. I want to round it, yeah, and so again, remember, we are looking at this from the top. So I'm going to go and grab the middle 3 rows, and then using the scale tool, which again, right, is R, I'm going to use that to kind of expand it out a bit. Yeah, so pretty good start. Right about there should look pretty good. Okay, I'm also going to very slightly, yeah, I will get the middle row, and I'm going to very slightly round that out. Yeah, so that'll be from side to side, we have a little bit more roundness. Yeah. Now I'm going to repeat this process. This time though, instead of going from left to right, yeah, I'm going to go from top to bottom. Sorry, this would be actually back to front. Yeah, back to front. But I'm going to use my selection tool, click and drag. Okay, and I'm going to grab all the vertices going down these middle rows. Yeah. Okay, and then once again, kind of the same thing. Using the scale tool, this time I'm going to scale it more forward. Yeah, so again, we're rounding it. And then I'm going to go to the middle row that's all by itself. And then kind of, again, very slightly round it out. Okay, and what you're going to notice from the top is now we have an object that is a lot more, we've moved away from kind of that original cube look. Yeah. Okay, so that's our top view. I'm going to hit my spacebar so we can kind of see it in action. Yeah, we still have a long ways to go to get from there to here. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of jump now to my front view. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of jump to my front view over here. Okay, now one thing you'll probably notice is this looks very like can-like. Okay, so we're going to change our proportions here. Yeah, so once again, I'm going to kind of work with these middle rows over here. Yeah, and kind of use it to scale out. So again, I'm scaling from, actually I'm going to use my middle cube. Yeah, so in my scale tool, I'm going to use the middle cube and kind of use that to scale it. Yeah, so round it out a little bit. Same thing with the middle one. Yeah, kind of using that also to kind of scale this out a bit. Okay, what this will help us do is it'll kind of give us that roundness. Okay, and again, it almost feels like the can is like expanding a bit. Yeah. Okay, so that'll be from your front view. You can also kind of take a look at it in your side view. If we are using the middle cube over here though, if you notice our expansion is gonna pretty much mimic or mirror itself, yeah, so it doesn't really matter which angle we're kind of looking at, they're gonna look very, very similar, okay? Now, one thing you'll probably notice with the character is that we do have our mid portion is looking all right, yeah, but if you look at the bottom and the top, okay, we're neglecting to make the roundness in those areas. Yeah, so we're going to jump back into our perspective view at this point. Yeah, so jump back into your perspective view. I'm going to go into my face mode, and I'm going to be selecting these middle four faces. Yeah, so right in the center. Yeah, and then I'm pressing my Q key, or you can use your selection tool. Yeah, and then we're going to select these four. Yeah, and I'm holding down my shift key to select those additional faces. Yeah. All right, and then we're going to use this to expand this upwards, yeah? So if I'm using my move tool, yeah, so I'm going to go to my move tool by pressing the W key. Okay, we can then kind of drag this piece up, okay, and then we're going to kind of get the top portion, yeah? And then we also have, so it's going to start to get a little bit more rounded. All right, so our next step is going to be, now we're going to bring down the bottom piece. So switching my view now to my side view, I'm also going to kind of bring this down very, very subtly. One thing you're going to notice right here is between the two, yeah, probably going to make the bottom quite a bit less round. But yeah, definitely that'll kind of work out right there, yeah. So bring it a little bit less down, yeah. Okay, the other thing we are going to do here is just to make the bottom a little bit more rounded, I'm going to go into vertex mode. Maybe select this bottom vertex and just kind of slightly drop that down. Same thing with the top one up here. Just click on it and kind of slightly bring that up. Okay, now this isn't like the this isn't like a perfect setup, yeah, but you folks can definitely make changes as you go. And one thing I did notice with the character is that he does kind of seem like he's a little bit on the like more rounder side, so I'm gonna kind of scale this up a bit, yeah, so it kind of feels like he has a little bit more mass near the bottom, and then at the top I'm actually going to kind of shrink this in a bit, yeah, and shrink this one in a bit too. So again, just kind of using the guide as like a little bit of a as like a way to make any kinds of tweaks, yeah. But yeah, if you notice, I'm kind of just feeling this out right now. It's up to you how deep you want to get into this, yeah. Okay, but this is actually going to be the main part of the character so far. Okay, now this is probably a good time to make sure that our object is, we're declaring what this is. So I'm going to go right click, go into object mode. In our channel box, yeah, I'm going to make sure we name this. So I believe this guy's name is like Red, yeah. So I'll just call him Red, Angry Bird. Okay, so I know what that is. It'll be labeled over here. Also, you kind of see it show up in your outliner. This you can actually detach, yes, if you want this kind of floating around, feel free to. I'm kind of leaving this up just for the tutorial's sake, yeah, but you can definitely detach and move that around if you need more space to kind of look around at your scene. Okay, now one other thing you'll probably notice is after we're kind of done with this, your cube is still gonna have, like, your sphere that you made is still gonna feel kind of blocky. Yeah, it does kind of feel blocky. So what I'm going to do with this, and I'm going to kind of scale this forward too a little bit, but what I'm going to do with this is give a preview, yeah, so a preview of how it would look once we end up smoothing it. We don't want to smooth too early, because of course if we smooth too early, you're going to have a lot of faces, much harder to work with, yeah. So right now we're in what's called one mode, yeah, so this is low poly mode. If you press 3, this gives you kind of a preview of how it would look if you were to smooth it out, yeah, so this would be it at 3, okay. Kind of looks a little bit more shapely, maybe a little bit boxy, but not too bad, yeah. What you're going to notice here is it still has the same amount of edges, but if you were to smooth this, this is what it would eventually end up looking like. All right, so that's going to be our basic shape. Again, 1 and 3. When we're doing any kind of modeling, we're probably going to stay in one mode. Yeah, so we'll probably stay in one mode. When we're kind of do want to see our preview though of what it eventually will end up looking like, we're going to press the 3 key. Yeah, and then we can kind of see like where it's eventually going to go.